You know, driving in this morning, the sun came out, and it felt so good. I felt warm in my truck. It warmed my heart, and I thought, what a great way to start the day, but it's gone again. So I'm going to compensate, and it's actually more than compensating. I'll look out here and see your sunny disposition, sunny faces, and it feels good. So welcome to First Parish in Bedford, a Unitarian Universalist congregation where we come together every week as a people with diverse beliefs and a shared commitment to bring more peace, more love, more justice, and more joy into the world. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whether you worship one God, many gods, or no God, you're always welcome here. I want to say a special welcome to all of our visitors this morning in person and on Zoom. We are glad you're with us here today. Here in the sanctuary, you're all invited to fill out a blue connection card, which you'll find at the end of your pew. You can give that to one of the ushers during the collection, and we will add you to our mailing list. In Zoom, we'll put a link in the chat to a form you can also fill out as your virtual blue connection card. Parents and caregivers of little ones, there is a nursery available downstairs for your convenience, but we're always delighted to have little ones here in our sanctuary as well. After the service, everyone is welcome to join us for coffee, tea, and fellowship in the common room. Visitors, if you see someone with a big red coffee mug in their hand, that is a person from our membership team who would be delighted to say hello and answer any questions you might have about church. We have a few announcements today. The 70th annual plant fair is right around the corner. In fact, it's next Saturday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. on the Common. You know, I saw that there was going to be an announcement about the plant fair, and I said to my wife, Ivy, when is that? It must be coming up pretty soon. And I looked and I said, oh my God, it's next week. These things happen so quickly sometimes. So the good news is there are still many volunteer positions available that need to get filled. So we're asking you to help run the event that day by volunteering for the fair. Please check the plant fair table during coffee hour to learn more, and do sign up if you have an opportunity to be a volunteer. The Plant and Craft Fair team asks us to share with you the focal point today. The Plant Fair is honoring the memory and the many contributions Don Marshall has made over the many years to First Parish and the fair. Many of you saw the news of Don's passing this weekend. Please continue to keep Don, his loved ones, in your thoughts. The lit chalice is a traditional symbol of Unitarian Universalism. Our chalice lighting words this Sunday are by Claudia Dean, adapted a chalice lighting for Mother's Day. We light this chalice for mothers and mothering, to celebrate those who have nourished the light of truth and compassion in growing minds and hearts, to celebrate those who've committed time, money, energy to the growth of others in this world. We light this chalice to celebrate and hold dear the flame of love.
Thank you so much, Joe. Joe Pompey is our worship associate today. Steve Sussman, our amazing pianist. I am Jamie. I'm the senior minister here at First Parish. Welcome again. Happy Mother's Day to all mothers and to those who are celebrating today. Many of our members today also, as you know, are out at the annual retreat at Ferry Beach, so let's send good thoughts and well wishes winging their way as well, and maybe a little prayer that it's not cold and rainy there this morning as it was all day yesterday. They are having their own Sunday service right now, led by Reverend Annie at this very moment. I want to say a special welcome to our guest speaker today, the Reverend Allie Jablonski. Reverend Allie is an affiliate minister at Arlington Street Church, an instructor at Harvard Divinity School, and a hospital chaplain. Allie just finished 8 years at Tufts Medical Center, where she served as spiritual care director. So welcome, Allie. We're so grateful that you're joining us this morning. And our opening words today are by Andrea Gibson. I know you think this world is too dark to even dream in color, but I've seen flowers bloom at midnight. I've seen kites fly in gray skies, and they were real close to looking like sunrise. And sometimes it takes the most wounded wings, the most broken things, to notice how strong the breeze is and how precious the flight. Our opening hymn is number 126, Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing. We are going old school today, so you will find it in your gray or cloth-bound hymnal. I'll give you a moment to locate it. Number 126, Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing. And please rise in body or spirit. Now, if you would remain standing, we're going to share our unison affirmation that we say together every Sunday. You're going to find it in your bulletin, kind of on the back, under groups and programs there at the bottom. It'll take you a moment to find that. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. El amor es el espíritu de esta iglesia, y el servicio es su ley. Este es nuestro gran pacto, vivir juntos en paz, buscar la verdad en espíritu de amor, y ayudarnos los unos a los otros. Please be seated. All right. This is the time in the service when we share our story for all ages. So families, if you are out there in the Zoomosphere, this is a great time to gather a little more closely around the cozy blue glow of your device. In keeping with our theme of wonder today, this is a story about finding wonder wherever you do find it. It's called Sarah and the Most Beautiful Worm. One fine afternoon after it had rained, Sarah was out walking her dog, Theodore Barker, and as she walked him, she watched the worms wriggling out onto the sidewalk, and she stopped in her tracks, because there in front of her, inching its way across the walk, was the longest, squirmiest, brown-purplest earthworm she'd ever seen. "Theodore Barker, isn't he beautiful?" Sarah said. "Wait right here, worm." Sarah raced home, and she came back with a small wooden box. She carefully lifted the worm off the sidewalk, put him in the box, and took him home. There she added some dirt from the garden, a leaf of lettuce, a snail shell to play in. Then she added some pretty stones just because. She named the worm Maximilian. The next day, Sarah brought the box to school with Maximilian inside. She could not wait to show him off. She ran right up to Tommy on the playground. "Tommy, do you want to see what I have in this box?" she said. "What?" said Tommy. Sarah opened the lid to show him Maximilian. "Isn't he beautiful?" she said. "Ooh, gross," said Tommy. "It's a worm. His name is Maximilian," she said. "That's weird," said Tommy, and he walked off. Sarah frowned, but then she saw Kayla by the seesaw, and she ran up to show her Maximilian. "Kayla, look what I have." Kayla looked in the box and shuddered. "Ooh, isn't he beautiful?" said Sarah. "He's wriggly." Kayla said, "You think that worm is beautiful? That's weird." Sarah was feeling a little dejected at this point. What was the point of having the most beautiful worm in the world if you couldn't show it to anyone? But she didn't want people to think she was weird either, so she went off and she sat by herself on the steps to the school. After a while, Spencer came over and sat beside her. He was carrying a small cloth bag in his hand. "Hey, Sarah," Spencer saw the box. He said, "What's in the box?" Sarah frowned. "Nothing," said Sarah. "You're just carrying around an empty box?" said Spencer. "I might be. What's in that bag?" Spencer's eyes narrowed and he frowned too. It's nothing." "Nothing," said Sarah. "You're just carrying around an empty bag?" "I might be," said Spencer. So they sat on the steps, not talking to each other. And finally Sarah said, "Do you want to see something amazing?" "Yes," said Spencer, "I definitely do." Sarah opened the box. Inside, Maximilian wriggled in the dirt. "Isn't he beautiful?" said Sarah. "His name is Maximilian." "Wow, cool," said Spencer. "Do you want to see something amazing?" "I definitely do," said Sarah. So Spencer opened up the bag and he turned it over onto the palm of his hand, and out tumbled a very delicate mouse skeleton. "An owl barfed that up," he whispered. "That is so cool," said Sarah. "Everyone said my mouse skeleton was weird," said Spencer. "Everyone said Maximilian was gross," said Sarah. "He's amazing." "Do you want to go exploring in the woods after school?" Sarah asked. "We could dig for worms." "Yes," said Spencer. "Last week I saw a snake." Just then Maya sat down beside them. "What are you two looking at?" Sarah and Spencer looked at each other, and then they said, "Do you want to see something amazing?" Maya smiled. "I definitely do." And that was the beginning of many afternoon adventures the three friends shared together in the woods, finding amazing things under every rock and leaf. And that is the story of Sarah and the Most Beautiful Worm. And now we're going to sing the kids out to Jason Shelton's Children's Blessing to their RE programming. The words are in your order of service.
Good morning. My name is Liz Connors, and I'm a member of the Lay Pastoral Care Team. This is the time in our service when you're invited to share a joy or a concern with us. Please try to keep your comments brief if you can and personal. When we're done with the folks in the sanctuary, we'll go to Zoom, and I will be here at the candle stand at the end of the service if someone wants to light a candle in private. And I'm going to light one last candle for the joys and concerns we are holding in our hearts. And I will be at the candle stand at the end of the service if someone wants to light a candle in private.
There is a tradition at Ferry Beach for the Sunday worship service. They read a particular poem every year in honor of Mother's Day. And so I thought it would be nice, since we are having a service at the same time, if we would parallel them and honor that tradition here. I want to name that Mother's Day and mothering is complex, and Mother's Day can have a lot of complex meaning and evoke complex feelings, and so I want to say that all of that is welcome here. Whatever complexity you bring about this day or about mothering, it is all welcome in this space, and we honor it. But in this particular moment, we're going to honor it with this poem that First Parish reads every year called "The Lanyard" by Billy Collins. The other day, I was ricocheting slowly off the blue walls of this room, moving as if underwater from typewriter to piano, from bookshelf to an envelope lying on the floor, when I found myself in the L section of the dictionary, where my eyes fell upon the word lanyard. No cookie nibbled by a French novelist could send one into the past more suddenly, a past where I sat at a workbench at a camp by a deep Adirondack lake, learning how to braid long, thin plastic strips into a lanyard, gift for my mother. I had never seen anyone use a lanyard or wear one, if that's what you did with them, but that did not keep me from crossing strand over strand again and again until I had made a boxy red and white lanyard for my mother. She gave me life and milk from her breasts, and I gave her a lanyard. She nursed me in many a sick room, lifted spoons of medicine to my lips, laid cold face cloths on my forehead, then led me out into the airy light, and taught me to walk and swim, and I, in turn, presented her with a lanyard. Here are thousands of meals, she said, and here is clothing and a good education, and here is your lanyard, I replied, which I made with a little help from a counselor. Here is a breathing body and a beating heart, strong legs, bones, and teeth, and 2 clear eyes to read the world, she whispered. And here, I said, is the lanyard I made at camp. And here, I wish to say to her now, is a smaller gift, not the worn truth that you can never repay your mother, but the rueful admission that when she took the 2-tone lanyard from my hand, I was as sure as a boy could be that this useless, worthless thing I wove out of boredom would be enough to make us even. Our meditation hymn today is number 123, Spirit of Life in Your Gray Hymnal. Please rise in body or spirit. Please be seated.
invite you to settle into this poem by Andrea Gibson. It's called Acceptance Speech After Setting the World Record in Goosebumps. And just a little context, Andrea Gibson was the poet laureate in Colorado and was diagnosed with ovarian cancer in her 40s and died just last year. And this was something they were writing as they were in treatment and dealing with a lockdown. Just some important context. I wasn't by any means a natural, was not one of those wow hounds born jaw-dropped. I was tough in the husk, went years untouched by rain, took shelter seriously, even and often, especially in good weather, my tears like teenagers hiding under the hoods of my eyes, so committed they were to never falling for the joke of astonishment. When I was told there were 7 wonders of the world, I trusted the math, believed I had seen none of them. Of course, beauty hunted me. It hunts everyone, but I outran it, hid in worry, regret, the promise of an afterlife or a week's end. Then one day, in a red velvet theater in New Orleans, I watched Maya Angelou walk on stage, 17 slow steps to the mic. She took a breath before speaking, and I could hear God being born in that breath. My every pore reached out like a hand, pointing to the first unsinkable lotus in the bayou of the universe. I'd never felt anything like it. Searched the encyclopedia for the feeling's name when I got home. Goosebumps. Afterward, I thought, I can do this. Started training morning to night, crowbar swinging like a pendulum at the wall of my chest, tore the caution tape off my life, and let everything touch it. Allen Iverson, on the television in his first season with the Sixers, crossover sharp as a V of sparrows flying through the paint like Michelangelo's brush, 333 goosebumps. My baby sister, sober for the first time in 13 years, calling to tell me she just noticed our mother's eyes are 505 goosebumps. One day, my friend scored tickets to a Prince concert, tiny venue. I was right behind the sound booth. Prince's entire band that evening, women. At the end of the show, the sound person turned around and whispered, he didn't play one song on his set list the whole night. I live on stages. I know what it is to scratch a plan, but not the whole trip, and still arrive to your destination 200 years before your time. 421 artists formerly known as Goosebumps. But that's just the fancy stuff. Some of them came from simple facts. It rains diamonds on Jupiter, 189 goosebumps. Blood donors in Sweden receive a thank you message when their blood is used, 301 Nordic goosebumps. One night in Ann Arbor, my friend, still undiagnosed, could not uncurl her fingers to strum her guitar, so she sang the chords instead. It was the first time in my life I'd seen pain become an instrument. 10 goosebumps. For each and every note plucked from the string section of her refusal to silence her dream. After that, nothing in the world was gray. Even the movie of my past was released in color. The oldest man in my hometown could not get to the door to listen to our carols. So we went inside and sang at his bedside instead. 24 boots on the front step, catching snowflakes with their tongues, 776 goosebumps. At one point, everything started doing it. A sincere apology, 221 goosebumps. An enemy's love poem, 222 goosebumps. the moon rising over the continental divide. My girlfriend and I thought it was a car driving off a cliff, and suddenly nothing in the world is dying. You ever felt that? A split second when nothing in the world is dying. 888 goosebumps. And the next day, I sharpened a tiny axe so I could split the seconds myself. Too much lives in a moment to not feed it to the fire in the heart. Slow. A Missoula treehouse filled with candlelight. 143 goosebumps. The Octopus documentary. 54 goosebumps multiplied by 8. The biggest dog in the shelter hiding behind a teacup chihuahua. And the woman who came to adopt a cat, taking all 3 of them home. 1,012 goosebumps. There is no escaping the magic now. Beauty caught me and never let me go. And the thing about the world record is, if someone breaks it after me, and they will break it after me, I will love that so much that without even trying, I'll break it again.
I don't know about you, but I often arrive here on a Sunday feeling a bit weary, tired by the worries of the work and the troubles of the world. When I leave renewed, perhaps even with goosebumps, strengthened by the love, the community, and the shared hope for peace and justice. This place of refuge exists because we support it together through our generosity, care, commitment. Please join me in giving so that this place of hope and inspiration may continue to sustain us in challenging times. The ushers will now take the collection.
Thank you so much. Do you dread getting asked what you do for work? Can you anticipate the response? Do you ever make up a fake profession? I've heard some ministers do this. I don't. Every time I answer that I am a hospital chaplain working on intensive care units, the response is almost always, "That must be so depressing," or "Let me tell you what I think about religion." As chaplains, we do a lot of hard things. Most of my days include being beside someone as they die, joining doctors in giving family members and patients bad news, and being beside patients, families, and colleagues as they grapple with very difficult realities and difficult feelings. We see a lot of hard things, and many of the most beautiful moments of my life have happened within these hospital walls. These goosebumps that Andrea Gibson describes, I get them all the time in the hospital, in this place that is known to be depressing and full of pain, in a place that is full of devastation and pain. In the momentary interaction with the stranger who thinks my job must be so depressing, I rarely get to tell them about the goosebumps and about the ways they change me and my relationship to others and to our world. I don't get to tell them about how the goosebumps awaken my soul and grow my heart. My friends, I'm glad that we have a little time to talk about the goosebumps. Because the world is depressing and terrifying and overwhelming, especially for us, for Unitarian Universalists dedicating ourselves to love and justice and service, who believe in the inherent worth and dignity of all people. I think the goosebumps can get us through the dark. I think the goosebumps can help us find the light. And I think the goosebumps can help us keep the light alive. So I want to take you on a tour of some of my hospital goosebumps. Maybe the moments that gave me goosebumps might give you goosebumps too. And I'd love to give you some goosebumps. I was on an ICU with a patient that I'll call Jean. When I tell stories about my work, I change the identifying details to protect the people that I was with, but I keep the essence of what happened. Jean was very angry at her body and angry at everyone caring for her body. Jean had suffered a heart attack and had to give up the job that she had had for over 30 years and was being told she might never return to the home that she had shared with her husband, who had died only a year ago. Jean had thrown her lunch plate against the wall and yelled at Katie, the attending doctor. Jean had yelled at Katie many times, and Katie was tired. "I am leaving this hospital," Jean yelled. "You can't," said Katie. "You will not survive. It is not safe." Jean screamed. I asked Jean where she needed to go. "I am going to miss my daughter's wedding, and we are finally talking again. I have to be there." The room was silent. We felt her pain. The room was full of empathy and goosebumps. Jean's nurse, Shane, called Jean's daughter, Bryn. "Is there any chance you would want to do a little wedding here? We have a chaplain." Bryn called me. What would a hospital wedding look like? The next day, Jean was doing worse. Drenched in sweat and full of pain, Jean forced out the words, "I need to be there for my daughter." We called Bryn. "Well, let's do a little wedding," she said. "We should move quickly," the doctor said. We planned a ceremony for the next day and told Jean. She rolled her eyes. "It will be pitiful," Jean said. The next day, pediatric nurses came with a red carpet. "We use these for our talent shows," they said. We rolled the carpet into Jean's room. The kitchen sent up fancy appetizers. The charge nurse brought in a small wedding cake, and Jean's social worker brought in flowers. I printed and framed the blessings that we would use, and Katie, the doctor, came in with a box. I thought Bryn might want to wear this, Katie said to me. She said she didn't have anything to wear. I saw Katie open the box next to Bryn, who gasped as she pulled out a veil. I loved it too, Katie said. I had a really happy wedding, and I thought you might want something borrowed. Or you can keep it, and it can be something given. You can keep it if you want to wear it to your wedding next year. That way you have something that your mom saw. Jean cried as she watched her room being transformed, and she cried as she held the rings while I blessed them. I can't thank you all enough. Bryn's wedding gave us all goosebumps, showing us that compassion can survive, even if it isn't earned, showing us the human nature to want to help, showing us that love and kindness can heal many different wounds. On a different unit, I met a patient that I'll call Patrick. Patrick was only a few years older than me and had been diagnosed with an aggressive cancer. He was taking a leave of absence from his graduate program to start treatment. His team worried about him and asked me to see him for support. Can you get me some things? He asked me. What do you need? Well, I have wooden hearts and wood glue and paint, but I'm out of ribbon and silver Sharpies. I didn't question Pat. I just came the next day with my Michael's purchases. Thank you, he said. I don't have a lot of time before Christmas. Are you making Christmas gifts? I'm making ornaments to send to people who have experienced traumatic events. I promise to make 100, and I'm going to finish them. Goosebumps. Every couple of days, I checked on Patrick, and we talked as he crafted. I realized that Patrick is an amazing artist. I watched him turn wooden hearts into winter wonderlands and magical places. His pile kept growing, and my job was to mail the ornaments. I stopped in to visit Pat before I flew home for Christmas. I brought him an ornament I had found at my favorite shop. You should have an ornament too, I said. We had the same idea, Pat said, and handed me an ornament with a beautiful drawing of the land of Oz, full of Christmas trees lining the yellow brick road. Pat knew I loved Wicked. It's beautiful, I said, my eyes filling with tears. I made one for each person on my team, Pat said. I figured you guys see a lot of traumatic things too. Goosebumps. Pat's generosity showed that so much of who Pat is survives his cancer, and that generosity can outlive a crisis. Connection and care are powerful elements of who we are through everything that we go through. One last story. This one is about one of my favorite patients. I always call him Manny. I was asked to see Manny not because he asked for a chaplain, but because his nurse thought he could use support. We all wear badges in the hospitals that say our name and our title. And when I knocked on the door, Manny looked at my badge and said, "You're a chaplain?" "I am," I said. "Oh," he said, "then you are not going to want to see me." I was confused. It's okay if Manny didn't want to see me, but why would he think I wouldn't want to see him? "Why?" I asked. "Well, I'm gay," he said, "so you're not going to want to see me." There was a long pause. I stared at Manny and said, "I'm gay too." That was not what Manny thought I was going to say. And after a long pause, he said, "Do they know?" "They do," I said. "And they still let you be a chaplain?" "They do." "Well," he said, "you can come in. You want to bless me with some ashes?" "Well," I said, "it is an Ash Wednesday, so I don't have any ashes," and took a risk and said, "But I do have glitter." Manny laughed. We started conversations that went on for months and months. I learned that when Manny was 12, His pastor found out he was gay and told his parents they could come to church, but Manny was no longer welcome. I learned how deeply this hurt Manny and how he longed for a church but was afraid to go back anywhere for fear of rejection. When I walked in this morning and looked at the disco ball, I took it as a sign from Manny. Manny and I talked often, as he had many procedures, and eventually there was nothing more the team could do for Manny. Manny knew that he was dying and asked me to be there to say a blessing. I went up to our offices, crying, grabbed some glitter, and brought it to Manny. "You remembered," he said. Manny's room was bursting. His doctors, nurses, therapists, social workers, and techs had all gathered. I let them know I was going to say a blessing and invited them to stay. I said a blessing for Manny, sprinkled some glitter over his head, and then a doctor reached his hand out and motioned to the glitter. "May I?" he said. "May you have peace," he said to Manny, and then sprinkled some glitter. He passed it to the next person. The glitter went around the room, each time accompanied with a wish, a prayer, an expression of love, whatever you would call it. It's all the same. After the glitter had gone all the way around the room, Manny looked at me. "I guess I got my church after all, chaplain." Everyone had tears. Everyone had goosebumps. Manny's organic glitter blessing showed us how old wounds can still find healing, how powerful community can be, and how powerful love can be. Andrea writes, "My every pore reached out like a hand pointing to the first unsinkable lotus in the bayou of the universe. I'd never felt anything like it. What do goosebumps feel like to you?" For me, they feel like my soul and my heart being pulled to the light. And when there is light, the darkness cannot consume us completely. When there is light, the light can be shared, and when there is light, we can find our way out. Andrea writes that they tore the caution tape off my life and let everything touch it. The world is depressing, excruciating, and can be very painful to look at, scary to let in. Let yourself see everything, the painful and the beautiful. Let the goosebumps come. Goosebumps might not seem very powerful in the shadow of cancer or death or conflict, but goosebumps can lead you to the light in the dark hospital. They can guide you to goodness and compassion and love that exists within incredible distress and pain. We all know that hospitals are not the only dark places. In the shadow of the many devastating, unnatural disasters that we face, may you still get goosebumps, and may you never stop looking for them. May you tell about their power, and may you create goosebumps for those around you. May the goosebumps rouse our souls and grow our hearts and help us find each other and help us always find the light, especially when we are in the darkest of places. Amen. I'm going to invite you to join me in rising in body, rising in spirit, and singing "Wake Now My Senses," which is number 298 in the Gray Hymnal. Friends at Arlington Street Church, we often put our hands over our hearts and then our hands out to remind us of the love that comes, that we give, the love that we receive. And I just want to say thank you so much for such a beautiful, beautiful welcome. That's a sermon that I get from you. So thank you so much. Oh, love this. Lee had seen thank you when I got here. You probably can't see it, but I have a disco ball tattoo, so it feels especially perfect. We extinguish our chalice with a benediction called For Hope in Hard Times, and I offer it to you with deep love. Sometimes she is easy to find, the life of the party, the driver of the journey, the lighthouse bringing you home. But sometimes she has to make herself very small to reach the most fragile places within us. She has to be careful for us. When living has fractured the foundation of your being, may you feel her gently settle within you. May her dim light be just enough to guide you a few steps. May her soft song be just enough to ease your heart a few beats. May her touch be felt just enough to remind you that you are not alone. May hope, in her smallest form, nuzzle beside the fear, anger, and grief that living sometimes needs us to know. When you are most frail, may she be a flutter, affecting the winds ever so slightly and making possible the potential for a new course. But you need not move right now. May she find you. She will find you. Blessed be.